Are you clear? Okay. So answer to this question is 2,50,000. So that being contract price. Initially I said two different ways. There is only one way that you have. So one for finding out the notional profit. The other working note that you are going to develop is for contract price. Is that fine? So now let us just consolidate as where we stand as far as this topic is concerned. So problem number 12 is a escalation clause. We have already done one problem on escalation clause. You try this, and in case of any difficulty you may just check up with the practice manual, it is there. Then problem number 13 is a simple problem only, and problem number 14 we have already done. 15 and 16 are like problem number 9. So that's all from my side. In case of any difficulty, please just let me know. I will just take it up. So contract accounts coming to an end. So we will take up on to overheads now. So listen carefully, this is a very important topic in costing. Say a sound learning in this topic will have a good impact not only for your IPCC but also for your final. We do have a topic, related topic in final. So if a person is just skipping this, he will be struggling in final. And not only that, even in marginal costing also it will have a bearing on learning on overheads. That is the reason as why I have advanced this topic ahead of marginal costing. Overheads, as you all know, that summation of all indirect items of cost. The objective of this particular topic is to link overheads to individual units produced or services rendered. There are two objectives that we have. First objective is to link the overheads to individual units produced or services rendered. There are two objectives that we have in this topic, overheads. First objective, primary objective, is to link overheads to individual units produced or services rendered. There are two objectives that we have. Primary objective is, come on, to link overheads to individual units produced or services rendered. What is the secondary objective? Secondary objective, which is always the last objective for any topic in costing, is to control cost. What is that? To control cost. So it is all in a teaching program. They will tell that two things you should always remember as a teacher. Number one, imparting knowledge, maintain discipline. So that is, class discipline should be maintained. So two things will normally be conveyed. So any teaching staff, whether from kindergarten to any research scholar level, the last objective is always like that. What is that in case of costing? So in any topic, the last objective will be to control the cost. So here we are fortunately having only two, primary and secondary. Primary objective is to link the overheads to individual units produced or services rendered. Second one, the last one, to control the cost. Okay, first one, when you say linking the overheads to individual units produced or services rendered, how would you do that? There are two ways that you have. One is traditional way, the other one is modern way. Traditional way we have it in intermediate, and modern way we have it in CA final. So traditional one that we will be taking up now. Modern way, I will tell you the title, that is called as activity-based costing. What is that? Activity-based costing. We will call that as ABC analysis. So this has got nothing to do with our materials topic, ABC analysis. So in fact this is activity-based costing. ABC stands for activity-based costing. In my first day of learning of four-wheeler, so the person said, here also we have ABC is what he said. Wow, very nice. So fantastic, sir. accelerator, brake and clutch. So don't get confused, there are 3 ABC that you would be having. One is always better control, that is what you have it in materials. 2, in overheads you have, so activity based costing. Lastly in driving school, accelerator, brake and clutch. So please just understand why I am just making all these references, not to spend time, just to easily remember things. So activity based costing is there in final. In intermediate we do have in 2 different locations, one in materials, so the other one is in costing. Of course that they have shifted to final. So originally in PE2 syllabus they have included this in intermediate, so now they have shifted to final. So you don't have ABC in overheads, you have ABC only in final. So please just understand, the objective would remain the same, whether it is traditional method or modern method. Traditional method, so it is all something like this way. So we all just gone for a sort of a tour, education tour. So we have just gone to a factory. So in the factory we know as what item of materials they issue, and we want to see the process entirely. So this process entirely when you just see, and definitely all of us would be just putting some amount of money to reach that factory, and definitely you are running that particular show, you want to just visit the factory. So therefore I am just arranging a particular one of our clients is having his factory in Perungudi, but I am not just coming, so you are expected to take it up. So what you do is that you arrange for a vehicle and go there, and lot of expenses also incur apart from conveyance. You incur breakfast, lunch and dinner. So it is nearly 12 hours of visit that you are just making up. So how individually cost should be borne by individual members. So how we will do is that we will take up all the cost and total up and divide by number of members, and you recover against each head so much of amount. So this exercise is a common sense exercise, and that is what we will be extending in this particular topic also. So we don't find a different approach, but thing is that all of us are similar, all of us are having same objective. Supposing you have our class itself, or like a school or college, when you have many classes there, so what is achieved by one class may not be achieved by another one. What I am trying to say is that, see, when you have in a factory visit, all of us go to the same location. So imagine that we have CPT students, IPCC students and final students. So each one of us will be visiting different place, and because of these place that we visit, the time also differs, and therefore the cost is also differing. So it cannot be appropriate to sum up all the expenditure divided by all students of CPT, IPCC and final. So it may not be appropriate. So CPT students would have visited only for 4 hours and they would have got back, and for them it is only the breakfast would be the cost. Whereas IPCC students, so they have a different program altogether, and it took 12 hours for them. And another person that is in final level, you have they went to secretarial audit, not for factory. So you just find the number of time that they have utilized was only 8 hours. So they have taken only 2 times food, and expenditure was in a particular level. So you can't take up all the expenditure and divide by number of students in CPT and IPCC and final. So if you do so, CPT students will protest. So why they should be protesting? So when I am not the cost, when I am not causing the cost, why should I bear that cost? So when I did not taken lunch, when I have not taken the dinner, so you are including those costs into the total cost, why should I pay? So please understand, CPT students will protest. So IPC students may not be protesting at all, because the total expenses are divided by many other students who are not cause of the cost. So their cost recovery will be down. So you hear, at least human beings will have the protesting attitude. So we will just say, no, I will not pay. Another person would be just happy to spread the cost to others. So please understand, individual products cannot protest. It is only the management accountants who are identifying the cost should carefully carry the cost to individual units on some rational basis. So this is what we will be achieving in this linking the overheads to individual costs. If all were to be similar, there is no problem. Sum of all the costs divided by number of units. When you have dissimilar products, or when you find similar products but different in attributes and their operations and their utility, you have to be very careful in allocating the expenses for particular head. When a particular expenditure is used by only one product, then the expenditure related to that should be shifted to that particular product. You cannot be expecting that to be spread to other products which are totally unconnected. Are you understanding? Are you following? So this way, a sort of an analysis we have got to make. It is only an application of common sense, nothing new. There is no big formula that you would be using, and it will be very, very interesting provided you participate. That's very, very important. So if you stay aloof, the most interesting one will be very difficult. Let me also openly tell, I had the opportunity of traveling for 4 hours and 5 hours at a stretch. I just loaded into my laptop. So something matter related to religious thing, something related to songs, something related to cinema also. So because the laptop can carry only 2.5 hours to 3 hours. So in a travel of 5 hours, you can't at a stretch for 2.5 hours you can play. I've just seen some movies and I've just seen some songs, and I've just heard many, what should I say, lectures of great personals, and in fact Rajaji's speech also. So likewise, when we just do so, when we get something to think, even if it is a movie, people might just think that this movie is not good or this movie is good, but there are dialogues that are being spoken. It's a circumstantial dialogues only, but you can pick that and apply it in day-to-day life. It's all very, very nice ones. But thing is that you need to observe. So if you are casually watching, then it will not come to you. Even Bhagavad Gita or anything for that matter, if you just look into that, you will never know what exactly they are just meaning, because that pitch of delivery will be different and we will be staying somewhere else, and that pitch you will not be getting. So therefore, any discussion in a classroom is also like that. So when we are just staying aloof, the most interesting one will not come to us. So therefore, ensure that you attend to class and also participate. That is very important. Rajkumar, so you are just seeing only in the last few minutes only. So, see what happens when we commit the mistake of not attending to the class. So the liability accumulates. So we always put things in the form of a balance sheet always. So those classes that you miss are liabilities for you. So these are all prospects of not scoring great marks, Sangma. So I really feel, see, when somebody is not come, I really feel for them. So not that I can skip the class. So please ensure that you all attend and keep your health upright. And so today I am just finding one person not come for class. You know, so you people are thinking just like it is a school. You can just catch up and do. So what you miss is really a great miss only. So let me tell you. So license or taking mom to ECG and all this and LLR license. See, let me tell you, those things can wait, if not your class. So please ensure that you are into the class, participate, and the pitch of that, if you just don't learn it properly, then it is going to cost you heavily. We do not know where we commit this mistake. So you go nearer to horse, but you just need to know that how it behaves and what is our strength. Okay. Now let us just take up. I really felt like this is a very good, what I would say, topic. We require a break also in between. So that means a little away from our mainstream of discussion. Anyway, so let me just filter. So you need to react. That's it. Say if you feel that it is a little boring also, you please let me know, because the discussion that we will be making it out will be a little late only, but maybe in another half an hour's time we will be getting into a deep discussion. So therefore, without you asking, I am just taking a little off and then coming to the discussion. So shall we? We are very fortunate that the rain is not that heavy these days. Objectives? What happened? Primary, link overheads to individual units produced or services rendered. Secondary, control cost. Okay, as part of achieving this objective, the steps that we are going to take up are, as part of this, collection, classification, allocation, apportionment, and absorption. It is very easy to remember. So just see CCAAA. Collection, classification, allocation, apportionment, and absorption. See, this absorption is nothing but recovery. So make note of that. See at the top, I don't know whether you just made note. Objectives: primary, link overheads to individual units produced or services rendered. Secondary is control cost. That is control overheads. Then steps involved in primary distribution are, this is a traditional form of doing it. Modern one, we call that as ABC. Activity based costing. Modern one, this is a final syllabus. CCAA. Collection, classification, allocation, apportionment, and absorption or recovery. So now, let us just go into a little deeper into the subject. What do you mean by collection? Collection of data related to overheads. We will take it up as collection. So we have factory overheads, we have administration overheads, and we will be having selling and distribution overheads. This topic is primarily focused on factory overheads portion alone. We don't take up in this topic administration and selling and distribution. Having said this, there are some problems. We do take administration and selling and distribution. So therefore you can say predominantly we will be discussing on factory overheads only. Okay, where we would classify in factory overheads various items of cost. Depreciation, factory rent, supervisor's salary. There can be a lot of indirect items that we would be classifying and taking up as factory overheads. That primary job, the first job that we do is collection of data. Then classification. So even in the overheads itself, we will have classification as one as variable, fixed and all that. So certain expenses which will vary to the activity level, certain items which will be fixed. That way we will arrange it. First one classification, then we will arrange. So say in our native place, we have seen in our neighboring locations there. So the mangoes or the mango tree will be given on lease. So the person who had taken it on lease basis, he will just put the chemicals to avoid those spoilage of this flower into mangoes. So he will be just doing. So at the end, you will all be feeling, oh, very nice, bountiful harvest that he can make. Next day you find not even one mango would have been spoiled. So he would just know how to take them off. So while taking itself, he will classify. Immediately in a lorry, it will be packed. So firstly they will collect. So just like your wicket keeper having this gloves, you will be having a gunny bag or a sort of a hold there. And while he is just taking out, he will have in such a fashion that none of these mangoes are falling down. So he will classify and as big ones, small ones and all that, and it will be packed. So like what a farmer is doing in the village side is what we will be doing it in factory side also. Firstly we will collect the data, secondly we will classify, and then allocation will start on rational basis. You have various departments, 3 production departments may be there and 2 service departments may be there. So what are those production departments? 3 production department or 4 production department as the case may be will be concentrating on product A, B, C. So those departments are XYZ, they would be producing product A, B, C, and you would be having service departments. What could be a service department? So where it could be a payroll department which would be catering to the services of all other departments, and it could be a maintenance department also. What could be a maintenance department? When the machine is breaking down, they will not tell to any outsider to bring repairman to conduct repairs. So they themselves will be having repairs and maintenance department. And thirdly, one more service department, it could be a canteen services. So where food and other snacks will be provided by the employer, that will be another department even though they produce, but their produce is not sold for any outsider. So it is all catering only to internal needs. So you will have production departments and you will be having service departments. So how do you allocate a common cost incurred for all the departments? So for example, factory rent is to be allocated to individual departments, because our objective is to link overheads to individual units. On what basis you feel like that factory rent should be distributed to various departments that you have? Tell me it's only a common sense application. On what basis? Based on the space occupied, area occupied, square feet or square meters as the case may be. That may be an appropriate base. So those things will come under allocation. I will give you another item. Power and light. Power and light is a common expenditure they would have incurred. On what basis power and light will get distributed to individual departments? What is that power and light? Power and light is where they pay to electricity department for the consumption of the power. So power is a very important input for them to run the machine. So on what basis you will distribute? Based on the kilowatt hour of the machines used in the individual departments. So it could be like that. So that is more appropriate. So you need to think as what would have really triggered that expenditure. So based on that you distribute. So that department which has got a higher powered machine, that department should be burdened with greater amount of cost. So this way you need to apply your mind and find what could be an appropriate levels, and you take up machinery insurance. So in case of any damage and all that in production, or if there can be a fire damage, so insurance is generally taken. Fire insurance, when it is taken, on what basis you would distribute fire insurance to individual divisions? So it could be based on the value of the machines. So value of the machine, when it is more, premium will be more. So then you would also have lighting and power. So what is the difference between power and lighting and power. It is all like in our accounts we used to have wages and salaries and wages. So what is that? So lighting and power would mean predominantly the lighting could be where in a factory setup you just find the atmosphere should be maintained at a particular level. So where the temperature should be maintained and there should be a proper lighting. So you can't put them into dark, you can't keep them at a temperature less than that. So a particular benchmark, we are not going into the technical details. So such of those expenses which are not really expenses in running the machine, but to keep a common what should I say, a centralized AC or centralized power system. So such expenses are to be distributed based on the light points that they have. So if this particular place is taken up as 2 rooms, so we need to look into in one room as how many lights are there. So that can be looked into through light points. So and sometimes it could be based on floor space also. So greater floor space would mean greater will be the lighting required, greater will be the temperature that they are going to maintain. So it all depends on as what sort of data you are provided with, and you need to correlate with that of the expenditure and decide. So there is no question of saying that, so for this sort of expenses, this being the basis. I am just giving it open. You need to really think on those issues, and I am very confident that you people will apply it right. So therefore correlate the item of expenditure with the data provided and try to bring it that way. Sometimes it may be not only kilowatt hours for fuel or the power and lighting, it could be based on number of hours worked also. So in some department the kilowatt hour may be less, but they would have worked for greater number of hours. In another department the machine capacity may be great, but they would have used only lesser number of hours. So it is all depends on what sort of information that you are provided with, you have got to decide. So whatever we have just done in one problem, you can't be just say, sir, you've done problem number 2, why don't you do it in problem number 3 like that. So you need to firstly find out what is uniqueness in problem number 3, why it was just done like that. So that way you have got to apply your mind there. So that is what we will be doing in the case of allocation, and this sort of allocation we will call technically as primary distribution summary. Primary distribution summary, popularly known as PDS. What is that? Whatever allocation that we are talking about, we will put it out as primary distribution summary, right? Then you will have apportionment coming up. What is this apportionment? What is this apportionment? We understand that service departments also would be in receipt of these overheads, which we would have distributed through this primary distribution summary. Factory rent, we have distributed to all departments. We have distributed to such a department which had not produced any goods, any finished goods, but yet the presence of service department, we are valuing it very great and we are distributing. Now, our objective of linking the overheads to individual units produced will not be in a position to achieve if we distribute it to service departments. So one way, in one hand we say it should be distributed, in another hand we just say since there is no units produced by the service departments, why at all we have just done this. So finally the conclusion is, regardless of the fact that we produce goods or not in service department, because of the presence of that department, other production departments are working effectively. So therefore we would consider them at par with production department and we will bring out allocation. Then what we would do, we will do it in apportionment as secondary distribution summary. We will prepare another one called as secondary distribution summary called as SDS. This is not that popular as PDS. SDS. Secondary distribution summary. What is that we will be doing in secondary distribution summary? The service department overheads are redistributed to production departments under various methods. We do have different methods of distribution. So one we call it out as direct distribution method. The other one is non-reciprocal method. Then thirdly we will have reciprocal method. So we have different methods of doing this exercise, but this exercise will be taken up as secondary distribution. What is our objective in doing in secondary distribution? We want to achieve the overall objective. Service departments are not producing any goods, therefore there is nothing or no meaning we have to retain any of the overheads to the service departments. They are to be taken to production departments for linking to their units that they produce. Then this is secondary distribution summary. Under that we do have A, direct method, B, non-reciprocal method, thirdly reciprocal method. What are those? Direct method, non-reciprocal method and reciprocal method. Non-reciprocal method, we will call it out as step ladder method. Non-reciprocal method can otherwise be referred to as step ladder method. Step ladder method. In reciprocal method, we have two methods. We will have two methods. One is repeated distribution method. Then next one is simultaneous equation method. What is that? Repeated distribution method. The other one being simultaneous equation method. Are you understanding? So now, let us just summarize whatever we have just done. So I'd like one of you to take up the summarization. Who would do that? Who would summarize? Sangma will summarize for us. Try. All the best. From the beginning. Only from overheads. Right, good. So twin objectives that we have: primary objective to link overheads to individual units produced or services rendered. Good. 2. Secondary objective is to control the cost. Okay. In linking we have two methods. One is traditional method, the other one is modern. Modern method is referred to as ABC, activity based costing. Okay. We have it in intermediate only traditional. What are the steps that are involved in linking? How many steps that are there? Sasang? 5. Good. What are those? Good. So in the case of allocation, do we have any name through which we will call that? Primary distribution summary. In short, PDS. In the newspaper and all that, PDS stands for Public Distribution System. Here we call it out as Primary Distribution Summary. Okay. So what is that we would be doing in Primary Distribution Summary? Good. Allocating overheads to all departments including service departments. Good. Then, what is the next one? Apportionment. Can you tell what is the next step name? Apportionment. The other name for apportionment is secondary distribution summary. Not that popularly known, but it is SDS. What is the work that we will be doing in secondary distribution summary? What job we would be doing in secondary distribution summary? Yogeshwar, you tell. What sort of distribution we will be making? From where to where? I will put it like this way. From where to where? உங்க பேர் எப்போ மாத்தினீங்க? யோகேஸ்வர்னா ஒய் பின்னாடி வர்றாரு. ஆறாமதான் ஏ. எதுக்கு வரீங்க முன்னாடி? So when matter is given to one person, you have to do. Then I will ask for the choice. Yogeshwar, from where to where? Service to production. Very nice. Next. How many, say Sasank, you stop. From now on Yogeshwar will take up. Now how many methods that you have in secondary distribution? 3. Very nice. What are those? Okay. Non-reciprocal. Do we have any other name through which you call non-reciprocal method? Very nice. Excellent. Okay. Then in reciprocal method, how many you have? 2. What are those? Simultaneous distribution. Okay. So he is very fond of the word distribution. So not correct, my dear. What is the first one? It is repeated distribution method. Second one is simultaneous equation method. So Chandrasekharan is doing some assistance work for you. What is that? Copied it wrong. What is this, my dear? I just written it right only. I changed even the projector also. Now it is bright. So if you are just not noting it properly, so next time you have to be seated here. Chandrasekhar that side, Yogesh this side. Okay. Now, entertainment over. Now we will concentrate on problem solving. Say now, I think we will solve problem. Simple problem only. It is very, very interesting topic, let me tell you. Very interesting topic. So you need to give good amount of focus on that. So this topic is a really requiring some extra focus. Problem number 1. Whose turn it is? Vimal need to read out. Problem number 1.
Problem 1. The following figures are extracted from the accounts of the manufacturing concern for the month of September 2021. Indirect material, production department P1 950, production department P2 1200, production department P3 1800, maintenance department S1 1500, stores department S2 400. Indirect wages, production department P1 900, production department P2 1200, production department P3 800, maintenance department S1 1000, stores department S2 650, power and light 1000, insurance and effects 1000, rent and rates 2800, meal charges 3000. Depreciation on capital value of assets 6% per annum. From the above information, prepare a primary distribution summary with the following departmental data. Items, production cost interest P1, P2, P3, service cost interest S1, S2. Area square meter 4,000, 4,000, 3,000, 2,000, 1,000. Capital value of assets in thousands, 100, 120, 18, 40. Kilowatt hours, 4,000, 4,200, 1,600, 1,500, 500. Number of employees, 90, 120, 30, 40, 20.
Right. Say primary distribution summary, where we distribute the overheads to all departments including service departments on a rational basis. What is rational basis? That we can decide on case to case basis. So here the first few items up to maintenance department and stores department, where they themselves had given so much of materials, indirect material and indirect labor they have used. As far as power and light is concerned, if this item should be distributed to all the 5 departments here. On what basis we are supposed to do it? Power and light depends on the information provided. What is the basis? Kilowatt hours. Right. Correct. Insurance on assets based on capital value. Rent and rates based on area. Meal charges, number of employees. Then apart from that, depreciation they have provided as 6% per annum. Whereas the data whatever they have provided is for the month of September 11. So care is to be taken to consider depreciation also as part of your overheads, but take it up only for 1 month. And that will get easily distributed because each one of those departments having assets at different values. Apply 6% on that value, take it up for only 1 month, and you would find the primary distribution summary coming to a finish. So now let us just start this work. It's a very simple topic only, but some areas are really wanting some extra attention. So this, of course, first problem may not be having that great difficulty. So now let us just start distributing, and you also simultaneously participate. So how do we take it up? In a tabular form, you got to take it up. So you need to have a total column, then P1, P2, P3, S1 and S2. And prior to that, you also give a column for basis on which you are distributing it. So and then particulars. So particulars, basis, total, P1, P2, P3, S1, S2. So you will have 8 columns. First column we will be providing good space. So title it as primary distribution summary. Basis, total, P1, P2, P3, S1 and S2. So indirect material, indirect wages. Then power and light. What is the basis of distribution? Power and light based on kilowatt hours. Then insurance on capital value. Then rent based on area. Next, meal charges, number of employees. Then depreciation at the rate of 6% per annum for 1 month on capital value only. These 2 items given. P1 how much? 950, 1200, 200, 1500, 400. Indirect wages 900, 1100, 300, 1650. So kilowatt hour basis power and light 6000, 1000, 2800, then 3000. Then it is 1% on each one of those items. There is 6% on these items for 1 month. So it is 1 lakh First one is 1 lakh. 1 lakh on which 6% works out to 6,000 rupees per annum. 6,000 divided by 12. It comes to 500. Next 600, 400, 300 and 200. How do you arrive at, for example, P1? 1 lakh into 6% for 1 month. That is the way we are arriving at this. Now, a lot of calculator usage is required. So now, kilowatt hour, it is 4,000 is to 4,400 is to 1,600 is to 1,500 is to 500. How much it works out to? So the total of all these kilowatt hours works out to 12,000. So this value works out to 6,000. So half of that number will be the value that we have to take up. 2,000, 2,200, 800, 750 and 250. And similarly indirect material total 950 plus 1200 plus 200 plus 1900, 4,250, 900 plus 1100 plus 300 plus 1000 plus 650, 3950. Then capital value 500 plus 600 plus 400 plus 300 plus 200, 2000. 4250 plus 3950 plus 6000 plus 1000 plus 2800 plus 3000 plus 2000. Insurance. Capital value 1 lakh, 2 lakh 20, 3 lakh, 360, 400. How we distribute, as how capital values are distributed in the table, that is the ratio you got to use. So don't ask neighbor, please do of your own. Examination is only for each individual, no joint venture preparations allowed. So if you are not understanding, please let me know. Please just check up the totals. Matching. Good. So today we'll just limit only to this extent. So we don't want to just take up secondary distribution. It requires a little more deeper discussion. So we'll just make that. That is, we'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow both sessions will be mine. First one will be costing. Second one will be tax. So income from other sources will get over tomorrow, and we'll be taking up clubbing provision. So please do bring institute study material. So whether new one has come, printed version? No, printed. That is soft copy. What you are talking about is soft copy. Do you have a hard copy? Not come. Not known. So unknown. Available. Printed. Hard copy. Okay. Sure? So don't talk about something which can be downloaded. Institute. Good. So I will send my person to buy today. Thank you. We'll just meet tomorrow for secondary distribution and take up on to clubbing. Thank you.